Hello, YouTubers. Welcome back not to Go Figure Customs, but to General Geekery. I'm going to throw this intro in real quick to let you know what you're about to watch. JD and I went through the entire A Real American Hero G.I. Joe line, picked out two of our favorites and least favorites and hidden gems for each year. Nobody's going to watch a 3-hour video on this, including myself and including JD. So what I've done is I've broken these up by year. Probably going to do first 2 years in one episode, and then from there on out, I'll edit all these into separate episodes. So without any further delays, come watch General Geekery podcast as we talk about Real American Hero G.I. Joe line.
Welcome to episode 2 of General Geekery's video podcast. We're going to revisit a podcast that we did originally, a couple years ago that I personally enjoyed. It ended up being 3 shows in and of itself, where JD and I picked our favorite G.I. Joe figure from each year. We're going to expand a little bit on that this time. We're going to pick our 2 favorite figures from each year and pick our least favorite figure from each year, which should be very entertaining. I've also thought about picking a hidden gem, a figure that for each year that people may have overlooked, either due to just wasn't popular, something that made it kind of cool that a lot of people didn't know about, either information in the file card or the figure or accessories in itself.
That will be more of a segment for Brian, because chances are half of my favorite figures will be the hidden gems.
Yeah, exactly. So
because I'm weird and I like some really obscure stuff. And yes, I will throw out occasional trivia that Brian can roll his eyes at. So
right. And since neither of us are probably going to agree on any of these figures.
Yes, we will. There will be at least 3 that we agree on.
All right, I'll take that bet. I will say no more than 2.
Okay.
Well, since we're picking 2 each.
It could be 2, so you could be right, or it could be 3 on a technicality, because it could be one of those things that we agree on why, or why not. So, yeah.
I say we do not agree on any of the ones that we don't like.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. See, that's kind of a given. Yes. So yeah, I'll say no more than 2 that we find on our favorite.
You are recording this, right?
Yes.
Just checking.
Yeah.
I mean, you did the technical check, right? Okay.
No, of course not. I just pushed record and it says record. Yeah, so it's going.
The good old days.
Right. All right. So starting with 1982, JD, pick your first favorite figure.
Stalker.
That doesn't surprise me. Why?
Camouflage.
Hey, good. I thought of that.
It was camouflage. He's the only character that was camouflage. He was badass, and
absolutely,
he was. He looked. I know he was technically a ranger, but the beret was actually green on the figure, and he looked every bit an inch of a snake eater.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to go very cliche here and pick Snake Eyes. Because he was kind of for the same reason that you picked the camouflage on Stalker. He was different from all the other figures completely. And, as the main other action figure line at the time was Star Wars. So you knew everything about every character that was in that toy line. Here was a character that was very mysterious. You didn't know anything about him. And even within the G.I. Joe, that first year, they gave file names for everybody. There was a background, and he didn't have one. It was classified. So I thought the mysteriousness of it was very unique for the just for the first wave of toys.
Um, when I was a kid, the classified, the unknown file names drove me insane.
Yeah.
Every single one of them
That doesn't surprise me.
was supplied with a code name that or a file name that I gave them. Um, in my verse, Snake Eyes is Alexander Seth. Yes, that goes all the way back to when I was growing up. They all had, I don't remember what Dr. Mindbenders was, but yes, they all had alter egos. I always felt it was a cop out to do that with the file card. So yeah, I'm a nerd. So.
All right, so pick your second favorite then.
My second favorite.
Kind of hard with the first couple years.
Not
For me, it is.
Oh well, yeah. Picking the second favorite figure is hard. Stalker's on my favorite character list. So is Grunt, but Grunt can't be on my favorite figure list. So I'm gonna go with Rock and Roll because he was actually the first Joe figure that I got ever. You know, it was 3 and I got a swivel arm Rock and Roll. So yeah, I'm gonna pick him as the favorite. I mean, he's awesome though. The bandoliers, the blonde beard. I mean, he's awesome anyways. I think aside of Stalker, I think he's the most interesting one, unless you count the guys with the pads. But
Yeah. For my second one, I'm going to go with Cobra Officer.
I should not be surprised by that, but I didn't expect it.
Yeah. Came with a realistic AK-47, so it was a real weapon. The sculpting on it was real nice. Most of the time in toy lines at that point in time, the villains, the action figures were shitty compared to the good guys. G.I. Joe was the first line that actually paid attention, and a lot of times there were cooler figures and vehicles in the villains line than there was with the heroes line, which I thought was fantastic, especially as a kid.
I can't disagree with that. And it goes for every year. I mean, they really, yeah, I have, there is no dispute for that.
All right, your least favorite figure.
My least favorite, honestly, is based solely on his colors. Grand Slam version 1, where Flash had orange pads and Grand Slam had red pads and darker green for the rest of the suit, but they were still red pads. So it was easy to mix up Flash and Grand Slam. Grand Slam didn't get really cool till the repaint a year later.
Yeah. I don't know that I got a least favorite figure for 1982. I'm just looking at it here. I honestly I would probably pick Zap because of how fragile the thumbs were and how big the bazooka was. It wasn't meant to. Those hands weren't meant to hold that particular weapon, and it's really hard to get a Zap in decent condition right now.
Yeah.
Most of the thumbs are broken.
Yeah. In fact, the bazooka came in a couple different variations that changed the size of the handles, and in fact, one of them had 3 handles and couldn't hold any of them.
Right.
Straight arm or swivel arm version, broken thumbs all over the place. Rock and Roll's got that kind of problem too because of the machine gun, but.
And I don't think there's like any real hidden gems in here. It's a pretty basic line for the first wave.
Yeah.
If I had to say if I like somebody pushed me up against the wall and said, "Give me a hidden gem," I would say Hawk because he was from Denver.
I would say Hawk because without reading the comic book where Hawk was front and center, absolutely the leader of the team, and he was made clear that way. If you did not read the comic book, the only way that you would know that Hawk was a colonel was by looking at his file card, and even by looking at his file card and seeing his rank, you would
Yep.
not deduce necessarily that, or you would not know. Like if you were a person that didn't understand the ranks, it might never occur to you that he was actually the leader of the team, because the way it was packaged was he was a pack-in figure with the mobile missile system.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would say he's a hidden gem in terms of, hey, the team commander's there. We just, you know, he well, and on top of that, he looks like Short Fuse, just like Short Fuse, except the straps are different colors and the boots are different colors. But otherwise, I'd say, yeah, I'd say Hawks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of the 1982 figures looked almost identical with very few minor deviations, but 1983 is where it really just it got gas. They really
Well,
were taken off.
that's because the first year was a test, and they sold enough figures to print their own money. So of course it blew it open in the second year.
All right, folks, that's 1982. JD and I recorded this whole thing all at once in one sitting, so it's going to be kind of choppy in the beginning and the end of each episode. I'm going to throw in a little preview and trailer in each one to kind of break it up. So that was 1982. Please stay tuned for 1983. Thank you for watching. Also, please, if you don't agree with our selections, please comment below. If you do agree with our selections, please comment below and tell us what you think about the 1982 G.I. Joe line. And stay tuned for 1983.